Yes. How can you overcome that? Just using certain words. Like in some classes, I've talked about how there's a baby food company called Gerber. It's famous in some countries, some parts of the world. But in other parts of the world, the word, the company name, means basically vomit. So that's not very good to have the word vomit for a food company. In other parts of the world, that Gerber usually puts baby food like apple juice or apple cider or a crushed apple into a bottle, and they sell that food, the crushed apple, for the babies. And they've got a nice picture of a beautiful baby and the word Gerber on it, but in some countries the picture you have outside is what is inside. So in some countries they think that if you have a picture of a baby, that means a baby is inside that bottle. It's a small problem for marketing, just like Google has in some parts of China. Has that impacted? Does anybody know? Why do we care about Google? Is Google a big company? How big is Google? Very big. Very big? Is it really big here? Where are we? Today we're in Korea. So is Google very important here? No. So we've got yes, it's important, and no, it's not important at the same time. So information, strategy, planning, we need to be specific. Yes?
I mean, Google is here, but it's not one of the biggest search engines. Like, it's not as important as in North America, I would say. Like, North America, it is one of the biggest search engines.
Right. And it's interesting, when we're talking about information and strategy and planning, Google's obviously a great example. But right now we've got some American person talking with us, and we've got a Korean person talking with us, and we're communicating information in two completely different ways. Some of the Korean people are saying something like pegopa, and Americans might say, well, that's one word. What does it mean? Hunger? Hungry? Am I hungry? How do you spell hungry? Where do you want to go? But in Koreans, it means many things. Like you were saying, yes, but yes, what? So how you communicate your information also is important with international marketing. Korean people are comfortable just using one word to say something. But in other countries, like North America, one word doesn't say anything. You need to be able to describe that word. Why is that word important? What is the environment of it? All important at the same time. So how does Google do that? We've talked about how Google is important in other parts of the world, in North America, but not important here. How big is Google in Korea? You say it's not big. Any ideas?
You mean the market share? Or?
Sure. What is the market share? How many customers do they have here? What percent of the market of the total customers in Korea are using Google? 10%? So we've got another, I'm talking a lot, as I always do, and we've got another local Korean person saying one word, 10%, or two word, 10%. 10% of what? 15%? So let's talk about two different things here. We have this, you guys can see what this is, and there is the search engines. What do we see here, first of all? Just the natural. This is, by the way, for those of you around the world listening to this video, this is just by chance I'm showing the screen, and there's Facebook here, but no Google. However, there is, oh, thankfully, Professor Watts is at the top. Great, our class is number one. But over here, what is this? Naver search engine. That's Google's competitor for search engines. They have over 70%, sometimes up to 80% of all Korean users are using this search engine. Google generally has 3 or 4%, very, very small amount. That's comments from a North American guy talking about what one Korean person said with 2 words, 10%. Is that true? That alone is not, that is misleading. That is powerful marketing to promote Naver, but it's terrible marketing related to Google. What is the value of Google in Korea? Do I need to show you? Yes. Don't forget, what is inside here? Almost all of these phones around are operated by Google, right? It might be a Samsung phone, but the material inside is operated most of the time by Google. Does Google have a phone? Yes. Google came out with a phone several years ago, so they also have phones. What else do they have in addition to phones? So when we're talking about marketing, it's very easy to identify one thing, especially in the countries that have cultures that are individual detail focused like North America. Individualism, you focus on one thing. So you might focus only on the search engine. That's very dangerous. It's in some ways better to be in China, Japan, Korea, where it's group-oriented or collectivist, where we take the whole collective environment and look at it. Be careful when we use just one word. The big environment with Google, it's not just a search engine. It's a search engine and the phone operating system, and it's the phone. What else? Anybody else want to talk about some of this stuff to get some points? All of these are things we have not talked about yet today. What is this? Maro, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Would you like to tell us what is this?
This introduced a new service about map of Google. From now, we can use many kinds of Google maps ability from Naver or some other web search engine. But Google innovate map to upper new level. From now, we can have customized map to me. I think this can be also innovation.
Yes, so now you can customize maps for yourself. So that's very interesting, and that's a whole new product that Google is coming out with. You guys are probably aware of Google Earth also. You might know of 3D movies and IMAX theaters. Google has a map version that lets you basically fly through cities and fly in between buildings. Yes?
Oh, I actually heard they're actually trying to expand and go actually into the ocean for that too. So you could go in the ocean and like kind of search in the ocean.
Yes, there's a lot of things. Some people are worried about how you are losing your privacy. You have things like this. I'm walking around with the microphones and stuff. So everywhere I go, I'm stealing the sounds around me and giving it to the world. Or the nice word is I'm just capturing all of the sounds in my environment and using that and sharing it with the world. How does that relate to Google? How does that relate to the Google Maps and information that we're talking about?
Using GPS or something like that.
Okay?
Google might know where we are going. And these days, I don't know if you know Edward Snowden. He exposes the fact that the U.S. government put the pressure to the major search engine to give some information for them.
Yes. What we're talking about is information is everywhere. It's almost impossible not to be surrounded by a crazy amount of information. Famous guy Edward Snowden, he was working for the government, and then he was working for a top consulting company connected with the government. He saw that the government is using so much information from other people that it's almost a problem. And so he showed the world what this government is doing. And some examples of what they're doing is, as we know this computer is working right now, but there are ways that you can use technology to find all information connected to this. And as I walk close to you, I can absorb or steal your sounds easily, you know that, but I could also steal all of the information in your computer disks. And Edward Snowden was saying that's kind of a problem. It's a serious problem. For example, yes, United States wants to protect General Motors cars, and they want to protect Ford cars. And the government is saying we have to be careful about terrorism. And usually when they talk about terrorism, you see the people with the guns, and that's a big problem. We need to protect ourselves with these bad guys with guns. But then why is the American government using equipment like this, where you can go into other areas and get other information and use it for other people? What do I mean? What am I talking about? United States government, they have technology to go in from the United States. They can go into Germany, into Mercedes-Benz companies, and catch all of their email and all of their records. Even though they're secret email, they can catch all of that information. And so companies that know about what the American government is doing can also access this information. That means Ford Car Company or GM Car Company can go through the American programs to see what the CEO of Mercedes is saying and doing and where they're investing. That's one concept of controlling information and strategies for business development that's very, very important. Make sure you're aware of that. I'm not saying it's good, and I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying it's a fact. I'm saying it's out there. I'm saying there is technology where I can see almost everything you do, even if you're at home. I can see what you're looking at on your computers now if I wanted to, even though you're hiding the screen. How is that related? Why do you need to care? Maybe you're not big CEO of GM or Hyundai Car Company. Why should you care as a young student? Why should you care with Google? So far, the most valuable part of Google, in my opinion, for you, is not discussed here. We have this, which is talking about, so what's this saying? Google is now operating on, not just on the Android phones, but Google is operating on the iPhones. And we have Google Maps. This, I actually was consulting with a company over 14 years ago, and 14 years ago, small companies, very small companies, not very rich companies either, they had the technology to put computers in a car, and the car can drive itself. And the car can drive at 100 kilometers an hour. So if you are a car, and you're a car, and you're a car, I can put a computer in you, and you, and you, and no driver. And if you're a giant truck, like a delivery truck, you can have $1 million in equipment in your truck with no people, no driver, and you have another million, $2 million, and another million, $2 million, and you could all be driving on the highway 100 kilometers an hour or 60 miles an hour this far away from each other through the middle of San Francisco City, for example. And that was developed a long time ago, and Google is doing that now also. So this is saying that Google has cars that can drive themselves, like a remote control car or a robotic car. But more important than that, what I'm trying to get to is controlling the information. It's not just for big companies. This was developed by small companies initially. What about you guys? How can you guys control information? One of the most important things I will be focusing on this term, and I hope your research projects focus on, is one part of how to control information. What do you guys need to do with Google? How does it relate to Google? It's not this. This is talking about how they have a new operating system for computers. What's this one talking about? Google is still not doing very well in China for search engines. This was talking about mistakes they made in China behind the Great Firewall. What about this stuff? Is this related to Google? What about this? These type of things. By the way, as we go through this, you might want to note that this here is an advertisement. The very first thing you see at the top of this is an ad. So if you click on the top thing, somebody is getting benefit and somebody is getting money. But this doesn't say Google. So please give me some comments. What are we looking at here? What is this website? What is this? And what is this? Yes?
YouTube was purchased by Google, I don't know how many years ago, and so now Google runs the YouTube page, and it has the same type of ads. You can pay a certain amount of money to put your ad at the top of the page, just like in the search engine.
Okay,
That's
so
what it is.
first of all, Google owns what we're seeing right here, this web page. And we identified that YouTube started by somebody else. It was not started by Google. It's not the brains of Google. It's somebody else's. So people say Google is a very, very smart company, and they say it's a very innovative company. And they say that because Google in North America has a special management style where 20% of the time you can study anything you want or do any business you want. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you do Google business, and then on Friday, you can develop your own business. They say because of that, Google is very innovative and it's smart and it develops many products. But this is something they did not develop. This was developed by somebody else, and Google just took it. Yes. Next, related to this, what we were saying is this is how they make money. Google makes a lot of money this way. When somebody is searching for any information, and everybody needs information, the first things you see, usually you will click on. And if you click on this, Google gets paid money by this company. This company has an agreement with Google, so if Google puts me at the top and somebody clicks, I will pay Google a certain money, and that's an auction. It's a negotiation each time that you're finding a word you associate it with. What is that technology called? AdSense. It's related to AdSense, AdWords, pay-per-click. Yes, it's all connected together. A different question, how does Google make money? Initially. How did Google make money initially? They now make almost all of their money by advertisements. So they now make almost all of their money from doing this, but not initially. Initially, they made no money from this because they didn't do this. They didn't create this. Emily, you had another comment?
They made all their money from licensing their software.
Yes.
To different companies.
They just had a complicated, crazy computer program that nobody knew about except other big famous companies like Yahoo or Alta Vista and those first search engines. Before Google was made, other companies would let you find things and search through the internet. And another company, anybody have an idea, what is the name of the company that started this type of advertisement? I believe you might have heard of the company DoubleClick and Overture. Those companies were able to find people are searching for things, and based on the words you search for, you can connect the word to an advertisement. And how they made money, if you are the computer programmer and you just make this program, Google made the program to find this. Somebody else made the program to connect finding words and connecting companies or products. So that is very valuable. Both are valuable. Google made money by selling the ability to find. Some other company sold the ability to connect. But he's a small, just one guy student. And he sold it to who? He didn't sell it initially to Google. He sold it to Yahoo. Yahoo was the first big main search engine, the smartest search engine. Yahoo was just using some technology from Google and then some technology from him. And so every time a customer would click on the words and get connected to the product, that customer that would click, they would basically buy something, and this company would pay Yahoo some money and pay you some money. So you got rich by sharing the money together. That was not created by Google. That is how Google made most of their money, but it's not created by Google again. Google created something else. And now we look at something different. This is powered by search. I don't know who this is. This is a company down here. This is a video created by probably Mr. Scott Bradley. 2 years ago, it has 157 people that have looked at it, supposedly. This looks the same as this, but it's at the top. Why is this at the top and not this? Because this does not say how many views they have. This has 157,000 views. So many people like this. Many people are looking at this. I don't even know how many people are looking here. But this is on top of this. Why? Because this is created by Google. Google is putting their information also at the top. And they are teaching people how to use their product. That's another type of marketing. So when you're doing your marketing with your product, if you're selling hats or selling clothes or selling cars or selling anything, don't just think what information you have, and don't just think what information is important to you. You have to collect information from everywhere around you. You have to collect information mostly from the customers. What do they want? Then you have to think, how can you get your information to them? And it's not always direct. Many times, increasingly, the best way to promote your products now is not with you saying, here's my product. The best way is usually getting somebody else to say you're good. Getting references. So one of the parts of this class is you have to learn to reference very, very well. Reference the most valuable information or the smartest information, the most believable information in your essays. And of course, politics comes into it. We talked about the idea of terrorism. The American government says they have to be able to protect from these bad terrorists, but then you agree, oh, okay, that's good, but then what they really do is with these terrorism ideas, then they can make the laws where they can go to Mercedes and open and take all of their email. And then GM has stronger ability to compete with their customers. If I know your product is competing with me, and I know how many people you have, and what is your price, and where's your supplier, I can do very good competition with you. I can have a much better ability to do business against you. I could even know when your bank is not going to renew your loan, and then I can push you out of business, which is secret information. This is one way you can do that. Increasingly, I believe you have to be able to do that. So, how many of you, first of all, have a YouTube account? Can I see a show of hands? How many people have a YouTube account? Only one? Come on, liars. There we go. Yes. Most of you have a YouTube account. So you guys know when you click on this type of information, most people do not, but the smart students, the smart people, you click on this and you can see your channel, your subscription, your history. So you can go in and everything you looked at is there. I can see that too. I can see what your history is. So all those pictures of your girlfriend you're looking at on Instagram and stuff, I know that's what you're looking at. And you can save. I can go see that, save it, and look at it later. And you can see what you liked or what you liked. and some of your favorites. Of course, you can save information. Make sure you're aware of that stuff. More importantly, when you go into here, there is a way to manage the details. Make sure you understand how you can manage these details. And what I mean by that is closer to here. So these are more videos talking about optimizing AdWords with Google Analytics, or measuring multi-channel media, exciting insights with light speed analysis. There's a bunch of information here. Make sure that you're aware of what this is. Does anybody know what is this stuff? For example, this, Analytics and AdWords. What does this probably say? Without me going through and showing you everything,
If
what
you
do
buy
think this stuff
keywords on
says?
Google AdWords, you can use Google Analytics to see how well your paid keywords perform in terms of conversion rates, revenue, and ROI.
Oh, where is he?
Here's how. Let's start with the AdWords campaigns
Where is this
report.
guy? Anybody know where this guy's talking from?
Here we can see the results from all AdWords traffic to the site. There were 151 visits with about
There it is.
15 pages viewed per visit and over 1 minute per visit spent on the site. About 93% of these visits were from people who had never been to the site before, and about 14% of the visits resulted in the visitor immediately leaving the site. The bounce rate is very important, and ideally it is quite low since you are paying for each of these visits. Let's look at the Goal Conversion tab to look at our conversion rates. This is a small photography portfolio site,
is a
and
special
we can
word.
see the percentage of
Bounce
visits
is
in
a
which
special
people
word.
looked at the
Hit.
various portfolios.
View.
Over half
Know
of the
all of
visits
those.
resulted in at least one conversion, and there was a per visit value of $2.54. This value is calculated from the goal values. This isn't an e-commerce site.
Let's go back and just take a quick look at that again. What is he saying here? In case some people don't understand what he's saying the per visit goal value, the average is $2.54. What does that mean? This is talking about that government and Edward Snowden information. All information is out there. When Google drives a car around Seoul and makes the map of the city that you can see, it also is able to, as it drives by and sees you have a computer close by, it has like a magnet and it can take all of your information and keep it. And take all of your information and keep it. All of the information from Ford or GM or Mercedes, all of their emails and information and keep it. And then you can use it. That's big data. That's a lot of data. How does it relate to you? When you have a company and you're trying to sell something, if you're trying to sell this, you want to know how well you are marketing. So you have a website. Almost everybody has websites nowadays. Well, is your website good or not? You can connect your website to special keywords. What word is the most important? What word is the best keyword in your customer's mind? You must know keyword. I call it the kimchi factor. We're in Korea. Kimchi is known by everybody in the country. It's basically the national food. It's something that everybody in Korea usually loves and has at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But if you go to the other side of the world, maybe they don't have kimchi. But if you're Korean on the other side of the world and you don't have kimchi and somebody says kimchi, you're going to go, what? Where? So that keyword has an impact on you. You will change. You will do something. I call it the kimchi factor or the impact factor or the keyword. For good marketing, you must know what is that keyword, or what is the kimchi factor, or what is the impact factor. Not in your mind. That's not important. Who cares about you? What your customer's kimchi factor is. And use that and connect it so that people on the internet will see your product related to that. So if you're a Korean person doing business about Korean tours or Korean clothes, even if it's not food. For example, if you're in Nairobi, Kenya, in Africa, and you're selling Korean tours, or one of the biggest hotels over there is the Safari Park Hotel, managed by Koreans, and you want to promote it to other Koreans. One thing you could do, even if you don't have a restaurant, you could buy that kimchi word in Google just in Nairobi city of Kenya. So anytime anybody looks for kimchi in Kenya, your hotel log or your website or your commercial will pop up. So they might be Korean, they will see you have a Korean hotel, you might get more business that way, and it has nothing to do with food. It's just an impact word. So then the people go to your hotel website. Are they going to stay? Are they going to really stay in your hotel? Or buy something, buy a room? This is telling you the average amount of money you get made from each click. Each time a customer sees kimchi on a Kenya website and clicks on your ad and goes there, on average, you make $2.54. So how much could you pay Google? Because Google is promoting people to come to you. How much could you pay them? You can't just say, I will pay Google $2.53 because I make one cent more, because you have costs to make your website and you have costs to make this product. But after you take away your costs, you will know how much profit you get. And so you should be able to share that. Don't be greedy. Never be greedy with your business. Share some of that with Google. The more you get information, analytics of other people, the more money you're going to get, the more customers you're going to get. Otherwise, it's going to be wasted. So over here, visits. How many visits do you get for your website? He's in Kenya managing a hotel. For example, he gets 151% of the site total. He gets 151 visits. And his goal is to do these things. But the goal conversion rate. How long do people go from seeing the regular Google website and his ad on the top to actually clicking that and converting it into a customer that comes to his site? So what is that percent? So 52% of the people actually go into his website. So make sure that you're aware of this. All of this information, it's very valuable in my opinion. I hope you agree. It's free. Anybody can do it. So if you want to know how to catch customers, or if you want to know what is the kimchi factor, or what is the impact factor for your customer, that's very valuable in my opinion. I hope you agree. Just agree with me anyway. I'm the old guy, I'm the professor. Agree with me. That kimchi factor is important. How important? How do you make it? Any idea? How can you find that word like kimchi? He's got a Korean hotel in Kenya. He knows a lot of his customers from Korea will stay there. But did you know Korea manages a hotel in Kenya? No, people don't know that. So you know he's Korean. Any Korean anywhere in the world, they'll probably put in the word kimchi. Where can I find kimchi in Toronto? Where can I find kimchi in New York? Where can I find kimchi in Paris, France? Where can I find kimchi in Kenya? So when he's looking for that, he could see your hotel. You know the word kimchi is very valuable to him. How do you know kimchi? How do you know that word? How do you know that valuable key word? How can you find it? It's very smart to know that, right? If I know what's the most important thing to you, I can control you. I can get a friend to say it over here, and you're going to go, huh? Or I can just write it down on a paper, and you're going to say, what's this? What's this about? It will catch your attention. So it's incredibly important. That is a very, very good strategy. That is very, very smart. How do you do it? That's one of the main things we talk about today. And that's one of the things that I'll stop talking about today. Yes, he made a video on YouTube, and he can promote his hotel, but how does he know he loves that word kimchi? Yes, he researches it. So how does he research it? He could spend 1,000 hours and survey, what word do you like? What word do you like? What word do you like? But if I ask you what food you like, you're probably going to say, I don't know, kalbitang or bibimbap or kimbap. It's not related to kimchi. He loves kimchi so much he doesn't even say it. For example, if I ask a Chinese person with a job, do you want lots of money? And they will say, yes, I want lots of money. But in reality, they actually don't like other people knowing they have money. They prefer to have power and good, strong reputation face. So the real secret words like kimchi or power, people don't even say. So his 1,000 hours of research wouldn't even show that. How could he find it then? How does Google help you find that? Google has this whole program we're talking about, Google Analytics. You must learn it. Learn this, learn this, learn this. This whole idea of the Google quiz, not important. This is important. Or YouTube Analytics is important. Or Facebook Analytics is important. Or Naver Analytics is important. That will teach you how to do it. Inside here, this is just one program. It's not the Google search engine. That's a different business. This is one business, but inside Google Analytics, hi world, one of the businesses is to teach you what is that kimchi factor. And so, this is cool. Hi world. You need to know that can be found by keyword search. That's the name of it. The program is just called keyword search. So you go in, you can put in food and Korea, and Google will be able to teach you anything related to Korea and anything related to food. What are people typing on the computer? What do they actually write? How many words do you write on the internet every day? Do you have any idea? How many words do you write on this internet or write on these keyboards on average every day? How many words? 200? I think you probably wrote 200 before now, and it's 10 o'clock. Yes? 10 to 15,000 words each day? Maybe. Especially when you remember all these text messages and the icon clicks and just the little happy face, the colon, line, and one of these things. That's a happy face. All of those are words, and you type them in. And so Google can search through all of that, what you are looking for. And Google remembers everything you looked for. All 5 words from him, 3 words from him, 8 words from him. And it knows this word from him is the same as one of the words from him, same as the one from him. So this word is the most important. This word, only he looked for it. This word over here, only he looked for it. But again, these words are the same. They're important. Learn keywords, okay? That will tell you how to get your customers. Use those keywords. Use those kimchi factors. Use that impact factor when you're doing your marketing. You must research, research, research. You must remember your reliance on yourself is criteria for failure. You must research what the other people like, what your workers like. If you don't know what your workers like, they're not going to work hard. They're not going to care. You must know what your customers like and give your customers that word they want. So that kimchi factor word that they want, you must use when you're making these ads. So when you make this video and you promote the video, the title of the video, and all of you are going to make a research paper. How do you make the title? That title, it's not important what's in your mind. You should use the words that Google says other people look for the most. For example, you could know kimchi is important. And if you put a title of your hotel or your website, kimchi, maybe you don't get anybody looking. Maybe only 3 people looking. But if you say the kimchi, T-H-E kimchi, you get 1 million people looking. You don't know that, but Google does know that. He says, where is the best kimchi? And he says, the kimchi sucks. The kimchi and the kimchi, they're both the same, so the and kimchi has to be together. If you just say kimchi, you don't get too many people searching just for that. You get more if you use those powerful keywords. So use it in your title. Use it in your key descriptions. Use it more and more. Is it important to use it? What about in this video? Sometimes you have a video, like in this class, I am the video. The video is a picture of an old, ugly guy talking. You should realize that technology is so powerful now. It's not just MP3 players. It's not MP4 players. There's MP7 and far bigger than that. But the MP7 technology means that when I'm saying something on a video, if I'm using MP7, that word that I say, you can click on it. And it will take you wherever you want to go. For example, MP7, what is it? You stop and click on the video then, and it might take you to Wikipedia MP7 and explain what it is. So technology, that information, that research capability is huge. If you don't know that, and you're competing with somebody else that does, even if you're the fancy Mercedes, you're that luxury, great car, but if you don't know what the other people are doing, if you don't know that they know what you're doing, good luck, you're going to have a hard time in business. If you want to do well, know how to control the research, know how to control the information, know how to control keywords, analytics, Google Analytics, Facebook Analytics, YouTube Analytics. It's free. The biggest companies in the world all use this on steroids. They usually use systems called MIS, million-dollar systems that control the same type of thing. This is a new thing that makes it free for everybody. Any questions? I believe our class today is just 1 hour. Next class on next Monday, it's the 2-hour class. Next time I will see you. We have finished talking about Google in North America case and the Google in China case. We finished talking about that. You were very lucky that your students, your colleagues, got lots of information, so you didn't have to do the test. I showed you that there is, I can talk about this. This is the whole idea of strategy. So the main points of strategy is connected in here. But in addition to this, in the class, we also have these cases. I would suggest you go through and you see that the next case, next chapter after information, what are we going to study? And what is a good case that you are impacted from? What is your kimchi factor? What is your interest in this topic? Find a case related to it, and maybe you can propose that in the group Facebook site, and we'll use that. I suggest one of them might be Kimberly-Clark, and there's a diaper war. So if you go in here, if you do not suggest a case, then I am going to start talking next class about this. Diaper war, Kimberly-Clark and Procter & Gamble case study. Here is the Kimberly-Clark Procter & Gamble case study PDF, and here's some comments about it. Here is another PPT talking about it. So if you want, we can take a look at this. It shows some of these details. We have the Korean and the English version. This is the Korean version. What's the difference between the Kimberly-Clark and the Procter & Gamble products? How did they develop? And I will be talking about how, even though it's a very big market, like $4.5 billion, I'll be talking about how they got the information. They're Western companies, but a lot of their technology they got from Japan. Like the diapers came from Japan, where they don't really use diapers. So if you don't find a case, I'm going to talk about this. I suggest you find what case you like, propose it, get other students to start agreeing, and we will focus on that next week. Okay? Have a good day. Thank you very much. Any questions about the research projects? Is there anybody, now that the class is finished, is there anybody that has not got into this Google Drive website? Anybody not get into this yet? No?